the engines of deception, the physics of the Fallen Ophanim, the thermodynamic insolvency, the missing plume. To understand the nature of modern UAPs, we must first audit the energy cost of their maneuvers. Traditional human flight relies on the displacement of mass, burning fuel to create a thermal plume and a kinetic reaction. According to the laws of thermodynamics, any physical engine capable of warping spacetime or executing a 90-degree turn at Mach 20 would require terawatts of power. In a closed physical system, this energy must be converted and rejected as heat. If these were a mechanical craft, the heat rejection required to cool such a reactor would ignite the surrounding atmosphere, creating a thermal plume visible for hundreds of miles. The ground beneath a hovering craft would be reduced to glass, and the radiation signature would be lethal. Yet, military FLIR sensors consistently record these objects as cold or thermally neutral. This total absence of a thermal exhaust or a localized heat sink is the first forensic receipt of a non-physical origin. These are not combustion engines. They are animated by an interdimensional intelligence that does not register on a terrestrial thermodynamic ledger. The Alcubierre fallacy and the zero-point trap. Materialistic science often attempts to solve this paradox through metric engineering or the Alcubierre Warp Drive. The theory suggests compressing space-time to move a craft. However, this is a mathematical insolvency. If a physical craft were compressing space-time at this level, the gravitational lensing would catastrophically distort the background stars, and the resulting blue shift radiation would incinerate everything within a multi-mile radius. UAPs are optically clean. Similarly, speculative lore treats zero-point energy as an infinite battery. In reality, thermodynamics shuts this down. Zero-point energy is the ground state, the absolute bottom of the energy valley. Because energy must flow from a higher state to a lower state to perform work, you cannot extract macroscopic power from a system that is already at its lowest possible state. Ezekiel 1:20 provides the only viable solution. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. The power source is not a fusion reactor, a vacuum battery, or supercooled mercury. The craft is animated intelligence. The energy is spiritual, not mechanical. The kinetic paradox, vector instantaneity. The observed 5 observables, specifically instantaneous acceleration and hypersonic starts from a dead stop, defy the fundamental law of inertia. Force equals mass times acceleration. To snap 90 degrees at hypersonic speeds without a radius of turn would liquefy any biological pilot and shatter any known alloy. Even if you could reduce the craft's mass to zero, you face the atmospheric friction trap. At Mach 20, air molecules would turn into a nucleoplasma sheath visible for hundreds of miles. The UAPs are thermally silent. If an object moves without friction, inertia, or exhaust, it isn't moving through the atmosphere at all. It is projecting into it from the second or third heaven. These assets do not bank, roll, or yaw like an airplane. As the ancient technical ledger of Ezekiel 1:17 states, they would go in any one of the 4 directions without turning. They possess absolute vector instantaneity, sliding along the geometric intersections of reality rather than pushing through the 3D matron. The sensory shell, the omnidirectional eye. Advanced military telemetry reveals that UAPs possess a reactive awareness that anticipates human intercept vectors before they are executed. This suggests a 360-degree multi-spectrum sensory array integrated into the very skin of the manifestation. Ezekiel 1:18 describes these assets as being full of eyes all around. This is the perfect ancient articulation of an omnidirectional sensor suite. These are not ships with pilots, they are sentient administrative assets. The eyes are frequencies of awareness that see across infrared, microwave, and visible spectrums simultaneously. They have no blind spots because they are not viewing our 3D world from the inside. They are observing the 3D grid from a higher dimensional vantage point. The logic of the non-physical origin. When you delete the impossible, whatever remains, however supernatural, must be the truth. Terrestrial physics cannot account for these objects because these objects do not belong to the terrestrial metron. By identifying these as the fallen counterparts of the Ophanim, we solve the paradox. They do not need fuel because their power is spiritual. They do not have inertia because they are not made of matter. They do not have exhaust because they are not converting energy. They are executing a command. These are the engines of deception, the administrative hardware of the prince of the power of the air appearing on the horizon to finalize the strong delusion.